that had to be, and I said in the tease that was, it's being almost. When was the last time NASCAR made a decision that was almost unanimously praised? But it was the right call because you look at what's happened in California, and even up to Monterey where the golf tournament was, they ended up canceling Sunday's round, and then they scheduled the Monday, canceled it, and it's been a disaster and a lot of problems. NASCAR made the right move, moving it up a day. And I think, Jamie, even to get out of LA, you were fortunate.
Absolutely. I think if we tried to get the race in Sunday, all of us who are out there would probably still be there because I don't know how many flights were, disrupted and canceled because of it. It's unbelievable what's happening out in Los Angeles, San Diego, all over California, like you said. And you're right. When's the last time NASCAR made such a bold move like this and everybody was on board with it? You couldn't believe it. When I got to the track that morning, it was like, okay, kind of whispers like, hey, they might do away with the heat races. We might try to get the LCQ, and you're hearing different things so that if the LCQ was in, the teams that didn't make it would go home, and then we'd know who was locked in for the race on Sunday. But then about an hour and a half later, my bosses got called into a quick meeting, and next thing you know, we were racing Saturday night, and we just rolled with it. So it all worked out.
Oh, you used the word unprecedented. It got used an awful lot on Saturday night, Dustin, and it is. I've been covering this sport since the late '70s, and I can't recall anything like this ever happening.
No, I can't either. And I think it was great on NASCAR's part. And the biggest thing is like was talked about is safety. You had all those teams, all the personnel, all the media people like Jamie that are out in LA. You've got all these people that, if you can get them out of there as opposed to keeping them there through Thursday, through all the things that are taking place, you've got all the safety people, the police and other paramedics and everybody that would normally work at an event like this. They need to be doing other things, and you certainly don't want to be in a situation where you have thousands of people in a place where they could be in danger later, just even driving home or something like that. So it worked out that the schedule was 2 days, and that there was a window on FS1 to it was unfortunate for the sport to go from Fox to FS1 because you do lose some eyeballs when you go from network TV to a cable channel. But again, I think I saw the number still over, well over 1 million people watch it. So, great that many people are able to catch up to it and see the event. And I know that FS1 was showing it multiple times after that, so that, hopefully the fans were able to get to see, some of the exciting action and all the chaos that created all the drama later.
Well, and I think this is something that we haven't seen them move it up a day in the past, Jamie. We've seen them move it up an hour. We've also seen NASCAR pull the plug on race days a lot quicker than we have in the past. I think back to New Hampshire last summer, and I know that wasn't a Fox race, but they pulled the plug at like 10 o'clock in the morning because there were flooding expected, and I think discouraging people from trying to get to the track under dangerous conditions. A few years ago in Atlanta, there were tornadoes called for, and they actually postponed it
till Tuesday.
Yeah,
I stayed in a hotel in Atlanta and watched it rain all day Monday.
Yeah, that's the thing. But we're seeing more and more of that, Jamie. And I think it's great on NASCAR's part to be aware of safety, not only for the drivers and crews, but for the fans trying to get to the track, and also an awareness that the people they're using for traffic control and things like that could be better served being elsewhere.
Absolutely. That's a big part of it is just safety. And I think technology has come so far and weather forecasting and knowing the severity of something that is coming. And so many of the places we go, I don't know what it is, but there's severe weather in a lot of places we go throughout from now and, until the end of race season, basically. It just depends on where you are. But, you talked about postponing the race quickly. I remember back to Dover. I don't think we've raced at Dover on a Sunday in the spring race for 3 or 4 years now, but they called it pretty early, 10 or 11 in the morning when they knew. Conditions were terrible. It was flooding. And, I commend them for doing that. At least we're not out there just soaking wet, standing around, waiting and watching and giving false hope to fans that they're going to see a race. NASCAR was like, nope, it's not safe. Don't even come out. This is what we're going to do. We're going to reschedule. You come back. So I commend them for doing that. Now, I wish that when we know that there's going to be severe weather and there's, potential for, flooding and all these things, natural disasters, that we could just say, hey, we're going to move it to Saturday night. here's the update, let's go racing. But it's just not that easy. I mean, they had Los Angeles, the city behind NASCAR, helping them, telling them, we're not going to have people. These safety workers need to be out there helping other people. They might not have workers. The union might not allow them to come work, at the stadium. So there were a lot of things that went into it. It wasn't just NASCAR saying, hey, we're going to move this up. There were a lot of other factors with the city involved.
And the one thing NASCAR hasn't talked about, and their credit in this, Dustin, is they took a huge financial hit on this thing because the people that were there Saturday did not pay to be there. Everybody that paid to be at the race got their money back or is getting their money back.
But the right decision was made. So
absolutely.
So, at the end, yes, it's a financial hit, but I don't think that this was as much a money-making endeavor in terms of the Clash as just trying to prove that you could do something different, especially the first year, trying to get a new audience and trying to play a long-term game so that if that first year you gained a lot of new fans and they continue to watch the season from that point on and became NASCAR fans, then that's a win because then maybe you get them at some other races. Maybe they buy some merchandise. Maybe they become more involved. Maybe they get some more friends involved, and maybe it just kind of grows organically like that. And I think that's one of the things that is the benefit of this Clash is you can try some different things like that. And now it leads to the question of what do they do next and what are the options? Do you still continue to come back to the LA Coliseum and stay in the Southern California market? Do you go someplace else? Obviously, if you want to stay on that weekend, which is a great weekend for NASCAR because it's between the AFC and NFC championship game and the Super Bowl, so there's not much going on that weekend in terms of sports-wise. It's a really big event. NASCAR can have an event there and be seen by a lot of people. I think there's opportunities to move it to some other warm climate areas and continue to build and make the Clash something that is a unique event and NASCAR willing to try some different things.
What's your gut feeling, Jamie? Do we go back to the LA Coliseum for a fourth year?
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything saying that is a possibility. It really sounds like, okay, we did it. We tried it a few years. We made an impact there, but now it's time to move on and make an impact somewhere else. And I'll tell you, going back, Dustin was talking about, it's not just about losing money or whatever on Sunday. It's about making noise in a market that maybe wouldn't watch NASCAR, didn't know anything about NASCAR. Somewhere that they really won this past weekend was the NASCAR Mexico Series race. I'll tell you guys, we had a press conference just for Fox Deportes and FS1 and had our analysts and our play-by-play, and I hosted it. There was so much media there, so much from the Latino community. It was incredible, and they were so into it. And then for Daniel Suarez to go out and put on a show, it was great for NASCAR. It was great for those fans that they're trying to get to watch us week in and week out.
What do you think, Dustin? Are we back in LA next year? I mean, because we don't know what Fontana's situation is going to be for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see it elsewhere. I know there's been reports about NASCAR looking at a couple places in Mexico, and maybe that's a possibility. NASCAR continues to talk about being international. Obviously, there was a lot of talk last year about the potential of racing this season in Canada, in Montreal. It didn't work out. What if you added? If you could add a race, the Clash in Mexico, and maybe get to Montreal next year and have, now you're a three country sport as opposed to just being in the U.S. And that would be something that would be a big, bold move for NASCAR with the schedule. And, Steve Phelps has talked about continuing to make the schedule dynamic and creating events and making moments. And certainly a Clash outside the country would do that. And if you could race in Montreal or someplace in Canada, for as hungry as the Canadian fans are, that could be a big win for the sport as well.
But you're not going to do that in February.
No, that's where that's why you end up in Mexico if you were to, of those situations. And again, there could be something else that you could try. Could you again? I think the issue, people talk about doing it in certain football stadiums, and I think the issue you have to remember with the LA Coliseum is there was a running track around the football stadium. It's a larger footprint as opposed to a lot of these football stadiums because the stands are closer to the field. There's not as much room. It makes it it makes it more difficult for the cars. Can it be worked out? Maybe it can. Maybe it's worthwhile to try to do something like that in a place like Dallas and Jerry World. Well, I mean, that's probably not a good example because of Texas Motor Speedway, but someplace like that, or do something a little bit different. But, again, NASCAR's push for Mexico, that would make sense.
The problem with football stadiums, if you got an NFL team, Jamie, there's a chance that they could be in the playoffs and hosting a playoff game. Except the Cowboys will be done by then, usually, like they usually are.
Well, that's a valid point, but the whole idea about the Clash, aside from it's meant to get everybody ready to go, all of us, we get to knock that rust off. It's been a while for all of us with Fox, for the race teams, just to get out there, get their race procedures going. It's great for that. But the bottom line is this is such a great opportunity for NASCAR. You know what? If you can think it, let's make it happen. If you're dreaming it, let's make it happen. So let's take advantage. Let's go somewhere we've never been. Let's go back to a Mexico City where we used to race the Xfinity Series race and had a huge turnout. Let's go up to Canada and give those fans what they want. There are so many Canadian fans that come to every racetrack. So I say we need to move this thing around, really build it up. People get excited for first-time events. So let's try new things, not the same thing year after year.
All right, well, each week on the O'Reilly Auto Parts Pit Reporters, we give you a chance to go to GoPRN.com and vote in our poll. And this week's question is, should the option to move races up a day be part of NASCAR's regular playbook? And your choices are yes, no, or yes, but to be used only in extreme circumstances. Last week, we asked you what should be done with the Clash next year. And 62% said return to Daytona. Interesting. 22% said take it international. And then we got just about a tie between have it back at the LA Coliseum and run a street course somewhere. So we'll see how it all plays out.